My sister and I are 17 years apart in age, and we've often been mistaken for mother and daughter. When I was in my early 20s, back in 1987, I was spending the summer with her, and we had so much fun wearing I'm the big sister and I'm the little sister t-shirts. Decades later, I've decided to upgrade the design with HTVRont Holographic HTV and perhaps a little bit of sass. In today's video, I'm taking two plain black t-shirts and turning them into something fun, sparkly, and full of personality. Hey everyone, it's Lean from Colorado, lean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. Before we jump into Cricut Design Space to start working with our SVG file, let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. The first thing we need to do is measure our t-shirts so we know how big our SVG file can be or should be. So I'm going to lay out the first shirt. And I have my handy dandy measuring tape. So we don't want this to be too wide, but then again, we don't want it to be too narrow either. So I think I'm going to go from the point of my shirt. If we go out to 8 inches, then our design is only going to be, well, probably as wide as the fold marks are here. Oh, no, not even that wide. And I don't think that's going to be enough. I think what I'm going to do is make the design 9 inches wide. And then I'm just going to bring in the other shirt just to check that measurement to see if that will also work or if it needs to be a little bit bigger. Now, I meant to grab the same size shirt, but I wasn't paying attention. There were quite a few people in the store that day, and I was ready to leave. So I think 9 inches will be fine on that one as well. Yeah, I think we'll make both of them 9 inches. Now let's take a look at the HTVRont Holographic Heat Transfer Vinyl. This stuff is so pretty, just even in the packaging. And I know it's going to be really difficult to see because the lights and all that. Now, I won this package of vinyl in the HTVRont Facebook group that I am in. So we have our directions. Now, back here, we have cut guides for the Cricut machine, as well as the Silhouette Cameo. Let's see, I do need to see what settings to use. So we'll use a standard cutting blade for the Cricut, and then we want to choose metallic, iron-on, mosaic, and then they suggest the default pressure. So I will set that aside just for a moment. And I want to see, I know there are two different colors here. There's kind of a yellowy green, and there's a beautiful pinky purple color. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh, look at this. That is beautiful. Okay, so we have 2 sheets of that one. And then we have this gorgeous dark purple. It's like we have 1 sheet of that. Kind of a fiery red color. Oh man. And then we have 2 sheets of that. So 2 sheets of the fiery red. Appears we only have 1 of this dark purpley blue. We have 2 of the light blue opal colors. and then one of this yellowy green color. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I am going to have to think about this, whether or not we have matching colors, and I think we probably will. So right now it is, well, it can only be a toss-up of these two colors because they're the only ones that I have two sheets of. I think I'm leaning towards this beautiful pearl color. And I know this is going to be so hard for you to really see how gorgeous this is. I don't even know if I can photograph this correctly. So I am definitely going to think about this. I don't know yet which color I'm going to use. But let's do a quick measurement here. So this is 12 inches by 9 7/8. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. And it does have a white backing to it. So it'll be interesting to see how easy it is to see the cut lines. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have so much fun with this. All right, let's go ahead, take our notes, and jump into Cricut Design Space and start working on our SVG file. Now that we're in Cricut Design Space, let's go ahead and try iron-on t-shirt. I have not used this. I have looked at it a little bit, so I kind of know what's going on, but I haven't actually used it for a project yet. So as you can see here, we have 5 options: men's, women's, a child youth size, and a baby bodysuit, as well as a custom iron-on t-shirt. Let's go ahead and choose a woman's t-shirt. And over here, we will choose an extra large for the shirt size. And that will give us a design area of 9.5 by 9.5. So we'll go ahead and click Start Designing. And now we can upload our design. So I will upload an image. And I'm going to browse to my downloads folder. On this screen, we can change the name. We can add tags. We can add it to a collection, or we can just choose Upload. Now over here on the right-hand side, we have a project preview. We can change the color of the shirt. And it says we can view the design area. And apparently this highlights the boundary of your design area on the blank. So we can look at that and increase it. The shirt that they have here looks like a fitted shirt. And while I am using a woman's t-shirt, it is not a fitted design. So this is not going to give us a complete representation of what the design will look like. So I just want to keep that in mind as I am working. So the first thing I'm going to do is ungroup my design. And I'm going to shoot the little sister logo off. And with my text highlighted, I'm going to come up to the width and change it to my 9 inches. And just to see what this would look like on our preview, let's go ahead and change it to the color yellow. And then we'll bring this back in. And like I said, this looks like a really cool idea, but depending on the type of shirt that you're putting it on, it's going to look different. So I'm just going to go ahead and close the preview. When I work with any kind of vinyl, be it permanent vinyl or heat transfer vinyl, I like to create a weeding box around my image. So I'm going to come up to Basic Shapes and choose a square. The first thing I want to do is change the color. And then I'm going to unlock the aspect ratio so I can make this square any size I want. And then I am going to arrange it to the back. And now I can fit it around my text. And we don't need a whole lot of extra space, but we do want a little bit of space between the letters and the edge of the weeding box. So to make sure I have the same amount of space all the way around, I am going to highlight everything. I'm going to come up to Edit, and then under Position, I am going to align this in the center. And now with my floating menu down here, I am going to attach the two together. All right, now I will move this out of the way. And I'm going to repeat all of those steps for my t-shirt design. Now that both of our designs are ready, let's go ahead and click Make. You'll notice that because we're working with an iron-on t-shirt, that it automatically mirrors our design for us. So we can go ahead and click Continue. The directions that came with our holographic vinyl suggested metallic iron-on mosaic, which is not listed here. So we'll go ahead and browse all materials. And under iron-on material, we will scroll down until we find metallic iron-on mosaic. So we will click it and then choose Done. As always, we do want to double check that mirror is turned on, which it is. I already have my sheet of holographic HTV on my mat, and it is shiny side down. And this is set for the default pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and load my mat, get that one cut. I will cut the second one and meet you back at the craft desk. Because I've never used this heat transfer vinyl before, one thing I wanted to make sure of was that the cutting pressure was going to be enough. So before I took my mat off of my Cricut, I did pick up a little corner. And now I can't get it because I want to show you. I did pick up a little corner of my weeding box just to make sure that it would easily pull up from the cut line, and it did. I had to resort to a little bit of green frog tape because my mat is not that sticky. And I did decide to use this beautiful opal color. I absolutely love this. Now, before I go much farther, I do want to save as much of this as I can. So I am just going to trim off some of this excess. And I'm actually going to try and line up right on the end of the weeding box. And that actually cut really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and go around all four sides and just trim off that excess vinyl. So it doesn't leave a whole lot of extra material, but I do have some pretty good size pieces if I want to make small projects with them. So I am definitely going to save this. All right, let's talk some more about this. And I absolutely love how simple it is to see the cut lines on here. Now, I don't even have to do anything special for you to be able to see that. It's just so easy. The one thing I do want to see is how easy it is to use my 143 vinyl pin pen weeding tool. So let's go ahead and see how easy it is to weed. Now, I don't want to bend that, so I think I'm going to start with my Cricut weeding tool just to kind of get things started. Okay. And that looks like it's peeling pretty well. I have some, let me zoom in a little bit here. I have some small exclamation points. I've got a few dots that I really want to be careful of. So I'm going to go a little on the slow side. Make sure all of my letters come up. Now, one thing I like to do is I like to take my scissors, just a small pair of scissors, to kind of, you know, make a few spots a little easier. Now, before I go too far, I do want to say this is an incredibly thick piece of vinyl. So over here where I have like a really big spot, I'm going to take care and try not to rip that, because I have found that I can, with some heat transfer vinyl, I can cut it with a paper punch, or I could put this back in my Cricut and make little flowers on it, and then I can add that to another project. So I do want to be a little cautious about that. So I think I am going to go silent, and I'm going to get both of my designs weeded out, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, I have both of the designs weeded, and I always like to turn it over and look at it to make sure that I have everything taken out that needs to be taken out, and I have all my dots and my apostrophes. So I will do that for both of them. Now, I will tell you, this weeded like a dream. The only reason it took me longer than it normally would have is because I was salvaging as much of this as I possibly could. So I can very easily cut flowers out of this with paper punches, or I could cut shapes or lines or whatever, and I can add this to any kind of project I want. But the HTVRont Holographic Heat Transfer Vinyl weeds like a dream. It cuts like a dream. It is unbelievably gorgeous. And I know this just doesn't come across on screen like it should, but I did try taking a few pictures before I started cutting, and I will have those listed on the corresponding blog post at coloradolean.com if you want to look at the other colors as well as this one. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I can center this. So I am going to fold this in half and line it up. And then I am just going to make a little crease here at the top. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. And then that will be pretty close to 4.5. So I will do it on this one as well. Now I'm not creasing the vinyl, I'm just creasing the carrier sheet. And that one did come kind of close to my E, but I did miss it. Now I'm going to rearrange the craft room, and I'm going to get the HTVRont Auto Heat Press set up, and we will get these pressed onto a shirt. All right, we are here at the HTVRont Auto Heat Press. And according to our directions that came with our holographic heat transfer vinyl, we have a temperature range from 300 to 320 degrees. So I am just going to pick 320 degrees. So I will push my thermometer and then decrease this to 320. Okay. And for a time range, we have 25 to 30 seconds with a cool peel. So I think I'm going to go for 30 seconds. Okay. And I want to make sure I press the auto button. So with this turned on, then as soon as I push my tray into the machine, it will automatically come down. And you will see that I have a Teflon sheet already on my top platen, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's get this shirt onto our bottom plate. I do want to make sure the point of the collar is off the back of the tray. Okay. And I want this to be centered. Now I do still have my fold lines on here from the store. So this is pretty well centered. All right, we are up to 320 degrees. So I'm going to press this for approximately 15 seconds to remove any moisture from the shirt. And now I do want to pull this down a little bit so I can see the front of the shirt. Just so I can get it lined up. And I'm going to get any extra fuzzies off. Now I do have a t-shirt ruler. I know it's kind of hard to see here. And I'm going to line up the point on the point of my shirt. And that should be about center. And then with the little crease that I made, I can line that up. Okay, and that should be 2 to 3 fingers down from the top of the collar, which is a good spot for it. So now I'm going to carefully move this back up so that my collar point is off the back of the press. And now I'm going to push this in, and I am going to press it for 30 seconds. And there we go. Now this does need to be a cool peel. All right, and that is cool. So let's see what happens. Now I do want to be as careful here as I was when I was weeding the design. If I see anything lifting, then I definitely want to put it all back down and run it through again. Okay, I do want to press this one more time. So I will put it back in, get the point of the collar off, make sure everything is flat. Now, if I did not have a Teflon sheet on my upper platen, I would definitely want to put one on here now, but I do feel confident with that. So I will press that for another 30 seconds. And here we go. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. I love this stuff. Okay, I am going to get my shirt made, and then I will meet you back at the craft desk. I am absolutely in love with how these shirts turned out. The HTVRont holographic vinyl was such a joy to work with. From cutting on the Cricut to weeding and pressing, everything came together so smoothly. And the contrast between the holographic finish and the black shirts, it really makes the design pop. Now, my sister and I had talked about getting new shirts at some point, but we never figured out what they should say or when we'd actually do it. So I have a feeling she's going to get one heck of a kick out of this design when she sees it. If you'd like to make your own set, I do have the SVG file available as a free download. You can find that link down in the description, as well as over on the corresponding blog post at coloradolean.com. Thank you so much for spending some creative time with me today. If you enjoyed this project, I'd love it if you would give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next tutorial. I'll see you soon.